Dixon. All right. Bless right now, Lord, your appointed preacher at this appointed time to preach your appointed word. Use me, Father, as you see fit. I pray, Lord, that Jerry might decrease, that Jesus might increase. Hide me, Lord, behind the cross, that all we can see is Jesus. Now, Lord, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. You are my strength. You are my redeemer. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Glory and honor to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Pastor Dixon. To my daddy, brothers, sisters, children, and friends. We count it all joy. All right. Lord, allow us to see one more Sunday afternoon. I love when I got my 5 heartbeats. Amen. All in the place together. Amen. It doesn't take much to make me happy. Give me my 5 heartbeats, a glass of milk, and some cookies. And I'm good to go. Amen. Amen. There is a word from the Lord this afternoon found recorded in the book of Joshua, chapter number 5, beginning at verse number 10. Joshua was near the front.
Joshua what?
Chapter 5, beginning at verse number 10. We will be breaking into a thought that we promised to do no harm, no harm to God's gospel. It reads, while the people of Israel were encamped at Gilgal, they kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month in the evening on the plains of Jericho. And the day after the Passover, on that very day, they ate of the produce of the land, unleavened cakes and parched grains. And the manna ceased the day after they ate the produce of the land. And there was no longer manna for the people of Israel, but they ate of the fruit of the land of Canaan in that year. Amen. Just for a thought this afternoon, I'm going to talk about celebrating the new year. Celebrating the new year. This is the last Sunday in the year of 2017 of our Lord. It is fitting that this being the last day of 2017, it just happens to be on a Sunday, but it is a time stamp to allow us to see that on tomorrow, it'll be 2018. God allowed us to make it a whole nother year. And when we celebrate the new year, we can't really celebrate it without looking back on the year of 2017. Some folks might say 2017 was the worst year of their life. Others might say it was the best year of their life. We'll be able to say that through 2017 we had some good times and we had some bad times. We cried and we also laughed. There was times we had money. There was times we was very, very broke. There was times that we struggled. There was times that we prospered. But one thing that was consistent with it was God was there through it all. Y'all will help me preach this thing. If you didn't really be honest with yourself, we can even say that sometimes I was spirit filled and sometimes I wasn't.
That's right.
Sometimes I read my Bible, sometimes I didn't.
Well.
There was days that I prayed, there's some days I just plumb forgot. Sometimes I was doing the right thing, and sometimes I was saying what I should not have said.
Well.
But through it all, God was still there.
Yes.
He wants us to understand, to celebrate the new year. I have to look back over 2007, because you can't really celebrate something unless you look back and see where God actually brought you from. Mike, you can't really celebrate driving a new car until you start thinking about, I was driving a cargo van just a few months ago. I can't really celebrate driving a new Escape unless I think about the whoopie that I was one time driving. I have to be able to celebrate some things. I'm celebrating because God has brought me from a mighty long way. I have to be able to appreciate the goodness of God in order for me to celebrate what God has done for us. You know, on next week, Brother Mike, it's going to be hard to get in the gym. It's going to be packed full of people who made a New Year's resolution that I'm going to start eating right and I'm going to start exercising. And it's going to be hard to get on machines for about 3 weeks. Because then it's going to come back to me that this ain't how I live. Walk with me through the text.
Well,
we find here that the children of Israel, they finally made it.
Yes, sir.
They finally got there. No more wandering in the wilderness. The plight has now been successful, but it didn't come without a price.
All right, come on.
all right.
Take your place.
It wasn't an easy road that they had to travel. They had to lose Moses. They had to lose family and friends.
Well,
I like the fact, Brother Bob, that they was in the wilderness and their clothes never got holes in it.
well,
Their shoes never ran out. They just kept on keeping on. But they finally got to the point where they made it. But it didn't come without a price.
well,
Right here we find that they was ready to get the blessings that God has in store for them. But it's important for us to understand that if you truly want to live a life that's pleasing to God, it comes with a price. It comes with us working in the vineyard. He's not Santa Claus. He's saying if you want your blessings, you got to work to get them. It's going to cost you something.
all right.
Look here, what happens here. Pop, they was warring, and now they're getting to the promise that God had given unto them. And God tells Joshua that you're going to have to go and circumcise the men. Because I'm getting ready to cross them over. So I'm going to need you to get a flint knife so that you can circumcise the men. Ladies, look at these men next to you already clenching up. He tells them to get a flint knife. What that is a rock that he has sharpened. And go tell the men to line up for the circumcision because you're about to be crossing over. Put me at the front of the line, because the end of the line, that rock might not be as sharp as it was when you got started. Because if you're getting ready to cross over, but it's important if we want to cross over to 2018 and live a prosperous life, we're going to have to leave some of this stuff behind. Amen, somebody? There's some stuff I can't take with me if I want to be blessed by God.
All right.
And it's too often that as Christians, we want to carry stuff over and over to God that God has told you a long time ago, put it down and walk away from it. If it wasn't any good for you in 2017, what makes you think it's going to be some good for you in 2018?
All right.
Sometimes we got to leave back stuff that we thought was necessary to us.
Well,
But the first thing this passage tells me that if we want to live a life that's pleasing to God and we want to cross over and be blessed, we first need to consecrate ourselves to be with God. We need to leave behind that bad stuff that wasn't no good for you. It tells us that the circumcision identified them to the law.
well,
It identified them to their promise of Abraham. But just like it identifies them, we should have some godliness that identifies us to Jesus Christ.
all right.
There should be some identifying marks on us that lets people know that I am connected with Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
We don't want to show our scars.
All right.
But my scars identify me with my suffering for Jesus Christ. He says you need to consecrate yourselves. Remove out the ungodliness from in your life. And I like this part because too many churches want to preach prosperity, preach that you can name it and claim it, preach that if you do this, you're going to get that.
All right.
But the truth of the gospel is God says I'm associated with God through his suffering and the fellowship thereof.
All right.
He didn't say I was identified with his prosperity, but it was by his suffering. Even went as far as by his stripes, I am healed. I'm identified with God by his suffering.
Yeah.
Tells them you need to consecrate yourselves. Make yourselves ready for the blessings of God. You need to make yourself ready for the blessings of God. Don't bring over that stuff from 2017 into 2018.
All right.
If it wasn't any good for you, leave it there.
Well,
Just leave it there. He tells us that we also need to be dedicated. If you want to receive God's blessings, you need to be dedicated to the task at hand.
yeah.
We need to say that God is going to be your way or no way.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to have any more shucking and jiving. They were camped at Gilgal, which was the place where they were all circumcised. And they was observing the Passover in the morning. But watch this. They started eating the produce of the land. And if you would have just read this, you would have just went on by it. They started eating the produce of the land. In other words, they started participating in their blessings. They started actively doing things that showed people that they were involved in their blessings. They started eating the produce of the land.
All right.
Up until then, they was having manna fed to them day and night. God was giving them everything they needed to make it through. But now they are eating the produce of the land.
All right.
And then the manna stopped coming. And I like this because God lets us know once we get to a point in our life where we totally trust and depend on him, God says when you get to that point where you recognize what I've done for you, you will find that you are blessed beyond measure. Have you ever had somebody who just likes to complain about what they don't have? I don't have enough money. This don't work. This right here is broke. This right here has trouble. But if you look at the text will let you know that don't worry about what you don't have. Thank God for what you do have. You learn to start thanking God for what you do have. God says if you learn to start thanking me what you do have, you will find out that you are blessed and highly favored, because there's somebody who would love to be in your shoes.
That's right. Amen.
So they started eating the produce of the land. A land that was filled with milk and honey.
Yes, yes.
A land that was promised them. What I really like about it is this was the time where God was telling them to look on this day. Everybody that wasn't with me, everybody that was murmuring and complaining, everybody that had their lips poked out are now gone. And the only people that remain are people who are after God's own heart. And ain't you excited when God starts moving people out your way that don't really do you no earthly good? Can't you celebrate when God takes a friend who really wasn't your friend out of your life, or somebody who was bad for you, somebody who wasn't doing you no good, and God says these folks are now no longer going to be part of your blessing. They are moved out of your way. But what he really wants us to get here is a lot of folks don't know what God has done. This generation wasn't there when Moses parted the Red Sea. They wasn't able to see all the miracles that God performed. They didn't see the plagues that was transpiring. They didn't see all that. God wants us to understand that you need to mark in your life what God has done for you, and don't be ashamed to tell somebody where God has brought you from. These folks are no longer there. I don't know about you, but I got a song that not everybody can sing.
All right.
I got a story that not everybody can tell. My story ain't your story. But one thing I know is God has been good to little old me. That when I look back over my life and I think things over, I can truly say that God has made a way for me out of no way. And I'm going to be consecrated and dedicated to the calling for which God had. And I only have one more point to make before I chastise Leah for not getting me something to drink. It's important for us to know that we're going to have to go into 2008 looking for better and bigger things. I want to celebrate 2018, but I want to look back and thank God for getting me out of 2017. I have decided that I'm going to press toward the mark of the prize of the hard calling of Jesus. I'm going to keep on running and see what the end's going to be. I can celebrate 2018 because I recognize that God was with me all of my days. I can look in the rearview mirror and see nothing but goodness and mercy all my days. God's been there all the time, chasing right behind me. And I'm going to keep on moving up the King's Highway, giving glory and honor unto the Lord. Not everybody was able to see 2018, so I can stand up and say, thank you, Jesus, for letting me make it over to see a whole nother year. Thank you, Jesus, for keeping me. Thank you, Jesus, for providing. Thank you, Jesus, for looking out. Thank you, Jesus, He is still here. Thank you, Jesus, Mama's still here. Thank you, Jesus, Daddy's still here. Thank you, Jesus, holding my right mind. Thank you, Jesus, for crossing me over. Anybody here just happy to see 2018? Happy that God brought you so far. Happy that God keeps on making a way. Thanking God for His goodness and His mercy. Is anybody here just want to wave their hands and say thank you, Jesus? Thank you, Jesus, for getting me over. I looked at this thing, Sister Rita thought about when I turned 18. I thought turning 18 meant I was a man.
Well,
I couldn't wait to turn 18. I said, Lord, I'm a man now. I had plans to, I was going to be a policeman. I had me a imaginary house with a picket fence, a wife and kids. Everything was going to be fine. Well, I never became a policeman. The house and kids burnt down. The dog ran away. You couldn't quite find what you was trying to do. It didn't quite work out like you wanted it to. But you say once again, through it all, God was still good. God still got us through. And I just am happy about the opportunities that 2018 presents. We just have opportunities, but it's up to us if we want to get it. You need to be dedicated and concentrated. And you can't stop halfway through. Because just like them folks in that gym, 3 weeks from now, somebody going to say, tomorrow somebody going to say, Lord, I'm going to read my Bible every day this 2018. 3 weeks from now, they ain't even going to pick it up again.